You know, there is really a fine line between self-confidence and arrogance. We know that being self-confident and poised and assertive is critical for success, not only in the workplace, but certainly in job interviews and working with recruiters. But what we also know is that if you don't keep your ego in check, you can cross the line. And what does that mean? We know that our recruiters are looking for folks that are grounded, that are confident, but that aren't arrogant or brash or abrasive. And so the idea is, as a job candidate, as an MBA, how do I identify those behaviors that come across as positive, and how do I minimize those behaviors that could be seen as derailers? If we also look at emergent leadership, what we know is these same skills, confidence and maybe a little bit of ego, are exactly the characteristics that get people to the high level positions that they achieve in organizations. The issue, though, is how to tread lightly when you're demonstrating these kind of skills. When we talk about some of the behaviors that serve as distractors or that turn off a recruiter, I can think of several. First and foremost, I think about the person that goes into sell mode. They're trying to really push and sell and promote their brand and their ideas, and they're not listening to what the other side is talking about. So in an interview, rather than trying to listen and understand the interests of the recruiter or understand the organization, they're most interested in putting forth their own plan, their own ideas, advocating for themselves. As a result, they have a tendency not to listen, and they miss critical points. Along these lines, we also see individuals that tend to criticize other people's ideas, or they show a lack of interest in their ideas. I see this a lot with our MBAs. You have MBAs that come in, they're just so confident in a meeting that rather than listening to what's being said, they're already thinking ahead to respond to that next thought or idea. We call that listening to respond as opposed to listening to learn. And we know by doing that, it doesn't really convey that you're genuinely interested in what the other person has to say. Clearly, that's a sign of being a little bit too self-confident. When we talk about the fine line, it's not just what's said verbally. It's also how a person comes across non-verbally, their body style. So the candidate that's relaxed, that's poised, that's maybe sitting back and speaking to an interview with confidence, well, they're going to convey that that's the kind of person I want to hire. On the other hand, people that tend to come across a little bit harsh and demanding might be sitting with a posture leaning forward, trying to convey themselves, maybe violating somebody's personal space. In terms of their language, it may be loud, their volume may be loud, overbearing, or even brash, to the point where they may come across as intimidating to the person on the other side of the table. So clearly, you want to watch for that fine line. How is what you're not saying impacting the person on the other side of the table? That's just as important as what you actually are saying. You know, one of the things I've noticed over the years is oftentimes the people that cross the fine line don't even realize that they're doing it. They're just not, as what we call it, from a self-monitoring standpoint or understanding how their behavior impacts others. There's a tendency for that really not to exist. So we say, in terms of moving forward, how can I work on that? Well, we know that if I want to move from brashness or boldness to really that seasoned confidence, it's important to reach out and get some of your peers, talk to them, ask them, how do you come across in a meeting? How do you come across when you're talking with a recruiter? Do you come across as somebody that really is genuinely interested in the other side, the other person's ideas? Are you conveying an aggressiveness or assertiveness that's turning the other side off? Maybe another way to look at that is we know that those students or job applicants or leaders that demonstrate the appropriate levels of confidence, they also demonstrate what we call vulnerability, a trust-based vulnerability. They're able to show their weaknesses, their fears. They're very open about areas where they know they could improve. When I look at the candidates, the MBAs or the job candidates that are a little bit too confident, or some would say maybe cocky or arrogant or brash, they tend to downplay their weaknesses. If I ask them, tell me about your weaknesses, oftentimes I'll hear, well, I don't have enough information in this technical area. I know I need to work harder. I work too many late nights. I need to ease up. Well, we know that the people that come across showing the right amount of confidence, that tread the right line, they're humble, yet they convey things that really demonstrate that they know themselves and they're being open and honest. So I might say, one of the things that I know about myself is I have a tendency to assert my ideas and be very passionate about what I do. And I need to realize that sometimes when I get very passionate about my ideas, I tend not to listen to other people's thoughts and suggestions. And so I've been working with a coach, I've been working with my faculty on ways to understand triggers like that. So if I get excited, I need to step back and tell myself to listen to what's being said and maybe ask questions about the other people that are in the room. We know that a great sign of leadership is the ability to ask questions to solicit other people's ideas, as opposed to just advocating what you think is best. These are the signs of showing confidence that get you success in the workplace.